Today, we're talking ONDO, a name you almost certainly recognize despite it being relatively new on the scene. Launched in January 2024, it has quickly become one of the bigger names in the space, and we're going to talk about why and what they're cooking for this year. ONDO Finance is a DeFi platform laser-focused on tokenizing real-world assets like US Treasuries, bonds, stocks, and ETFs. This means you get on-chain access to stuff that's usually locked behind big bank doors. Founded in 2021 by Nathan Ullman, who cut his teeth on Goldman Sachs' digital assets team, ONDO's mission is blending TradFi reliability with the speed and accessibility of crypto. Their native token, ONDO, powers governance, think voting on protocol upgrades, and could capture fees as the ecosystem grows. Key products include USDY, a yield-bearing stablecoin for non-US users, clocking 3.7% APY right now, and OUSG. A tokenized short-term treasuries fund for accredited investors at 3.53%. They've got over 200 tokenized US stocks and ETFs live, with API for seamless integration. And here's a fact most people gloss over. ONDO builds everything with a bankruptcy remote framework, so the underlying assets are held in segregated trusts, adding safety even in the event that the platform hits turbulence. That's the kind of smart design that builds real trust in a space full of rugs. So why's the buzz building around ONDO, even after the recent price hit? The price action since Q3 last year has been lackluster, but the underlying growth is nuts. Their total value locked just doubled to over $2 billion in less than a year, fueled by skyrocketing demand for tokenized treasuries and equities. We're talking 88 million in trading volume for tokenized stocks in 1 week, snagging 73% market share, way ahead of competitors. They've launched global markets on BNB chain, with Solana integration coming soon, making it easy to trade equity exposure on chain. Partnerships are stacking. BlackRock for liquidity funds, JP Morgan exploring tokenization, DTCC for digital assets, and Bitget Wallet doubling their on-chain equity offerings to over 200 tokens. The SEC ended a 2-year investigation in December 2025 with no charges, paving the way for US expansion and their Oasis Pro acquisition. That's a regulated broker-dealer in their pocket. RWAs as a sector exploded 2,695% year-to-date, and ONDO's leading the charge. Plus, in 2 weeks on February 3rd, the ONDO Summit hits New York City, bringing execs from BlackRock, WisdomTree, Pantera, and more to hash out tokenizing trillions. This isn't fluff. It's institutions signaling RWAs are the next big shift, and ONDO's right in the middle. If you want to trade ONDO and others, check out my link below for LBANK for some great liquidity on a large number of pairs, non-KYC options, as well as some juicy bonuses. The future seems bright for this project. I'm bullish but realistic on price targets for the near future, say the next 3 to 6 months. Post-unlock, we could see ONDO rebound to $1 or 1.5 if liquidity keeps pumping in, like the 200 billion surge we saw in December 2025. That's conservative, tied to BTC dominance rolling over and capital rotating into mid-caps. If the summit lands deals, governance flips on fee capture and tokenized volume scales across chains. Aim for 2.2 to 3.15 by mid-year. High-end, 4 to 7. If regs like the Genius Act greenlight broader adoption and institutions migrate flows. Think JPM and Citi using ONDO rails. This isn't moonshot talk, it's based on ONDO's mispricing right now. Down 70% from last year's 1.27, while fundamentals scream growth. But scale in gradually. Crypto loves to test patience. That said, if the wider market keeps underperforming, a project like ONDO almost certainly simply moves those price targets further into the future. I would be very surprised if a project with this much backing were to fade into obscurity. Let's be real, BlackRock, JP Morgan, and all those others are not here to support a failing project. I'm willing to bet on them making money. One underrated angle that's flying under most radars. ONDO's quietly building its own Layer 1 blockchain called ONDO Chain, a public proof-of-stake chain, purpose-built for institutional-grade RWAs. Think seamless omni-chain issuance and management of tokenized assets. No more clunky bridges everywhere. Partners like AB and AMRO have already called it out as a game changer for traditional institutions, issuing bonds, real estate, or funds directly on-chain. This isn't just another sidechain play, it's ONDO taking control of the infrastructure layer to lock in dominance as RWAs scale to trillions. With their TVL already at 2 billion and doubling fast, if ONDO chain flips on major adoption in 2026, especially post any regulatory tailwinds, it could supercharge ONDO utility beyond governance, pulling in fees, staking yields, and real network effects. Most people are still laser-focused on USDY yields or tokenized stocks. But this chain move positions ONDO as the full-stack RWA powerhouse, not just a product issuer. Hopefully by now you understand why so many are optimistic for ONDO in 2026. RWAs are an inevitability, projected to 10 trillion by 2030, and ONDO's leading with BlackRock ties, State Street partnerships, and SEC clearance. There was also recently news about EU regulatory approval for tokenized stocks and ETFs, opening up the European stock market for tokenization. Post-unlock, we're seeing recovery, TVLs surging, and tokenized volumes up big. The February summit in New York coming up could be huge as well. Of course, no plays without risks, so always do your own research. Current price has every indication of being an excellent entry, but it is entirely possible we go lower before ONDO's hard work behind the scenes is reflected in the price again. ONDO's quietly building the infrastructure for tokenized finance to go mainstream, and with that NYC summit just 2 weeks out, the timing feels spot on. What do you think? Is now a good entry, or will you try to time the bottom? Leave a like if this was informative, check the link below for bonuses on LBank, and I'll see you in the next one.